Good evening and welcome to the Nevis Newscast. Today is Thursday, July 14th, 2016. I'm Donis Wilkinson-Keynes. A resolution to facilitate completion of debt restructuring on Nevis, as stipulated by the International Monetary Fund (IMF), and another allowing the Nevis Island Administration (NIA) to open an overdraft facility at the St. Kitts Nevis and Anguilla National Bank were approved at a sitting of the Nevis Island Assembly on July 12, 2016. They were both presented by Premier of Nevis and the Minister of Finance, the Honorable Vance Amory. For the first resolution, the Assembly gave authorization to the Minister of Finance to change the form of the NIA's public debt of $115 million with the bank to a consolidated long-term facility of 25 years at an interest rate of 5% per annum. In the other instance, it was resolved that the Cabinet of Ministers of the NIA approves, adopts, ratifies, and confirms to convert the current account number 10275 to a short-term overdraft facility at the St. Kitts Nevis and Anguilla National Bank. Meantime, speaking to the Department of Information, Permanent Secretary in the Ministry of Finance, Colin Dorr, painted a clearer picture of the resolutions and their relationship with the Nevis Special Development Loan Amendment Ordinance 2016, which was also passed by the Assembly to increase the administration's borrowing capacity.
This ordinance, which was first enacted in 1988, provides for the administration to borrow both domestic and foreign for long-term investment purposes. It must be noted that this ordinance covers loans. Short-term facilities such as treasury bills and overdraft are not necessarily covered under this ordinance. The amendment ordinance yesterday made provision for an increase in the borrowing limit or the borrowing ceiling from $225 million to $300 million. It must be noted clearly, it was not the intention to go and borrow new borrowing to that amount, but more so to regularize existing borrowing which is already on the books.
According to Dorr, 3 years ago, the NIA began the debt restructuring process as part of the IMF program with the intention to transfer land to the bank in exchange for the debt.
Nevis being a small island of limited land mass, having transferred the first tranche of land for $29 million, we were unable to find land to the value of $115 million to complete the process. What we did instead, we went back to the bank and asked the bank permission to convert the remaining debt, which was mainly overdraft, into a long-term loan. Now you will realize then that the overdraft as it stood then was never covered under the Special Development Ordinance. Therefore, to bring it into a long-term loan, it has to be covered under the Special Development Ordinance, and therefore there was a need to increase the Special Development Ordinance to cover this amount. The overdraft at that time was about $65 million, and therefore when you factor the $65 million in, it really just covered it and provided a little access for the NIA in the event that they need to borrow long-term borrowing anytime in the future.
Dorr noted that before the process is completed, the resolutions are to be authorized by the Assembly following Cabinet's approval, giving government the power to borrow before the financial institute can execute the process. Permanent Secretary in the NIA's Ministry of Agriculture, Eric Evelyn, has been re-elected unopposed to serve another 2-year term as Technical Secretary of the Caribbean Plant Health Directors CPHD Forum at the 9th meeting held in Trinidad from July 4th to 7th, 2016. Evelyn was first elected as the organization's technical secretary in 2012 in the British Virgin Islands and then re-elected in 2014 in the Cayman Islands. He also serves as the chair of the Communications Technical Working Group of the CPHD Forum, which was established at a meeting earlier this year in St. Martin. During the Trinidad meeting, Evelyn was recognized for his invaluable service to the Caribbean Plant Health Directors Forum and was presented with the Greater Caribbean Regional Plant Pest Safeguarding Award. The award is presented annually by the U.S. Department of Agriculture, USDA, in recognition of initiatives and innovations that make significant contributions to furthering the goal of safeguarding the region's agriculture and plant resources. The Greater Caribbean Safeguarding Initiative recognizes a group or an individual who, among other things, demonstrates consistent leadership towards improving safeguarding goals or consistently promotes information sharing throughout the region in the form of new pest information or alerts. According to Dennis Martin of the USDA, Evelyn was selected to receive the award for his outstanding service as the Technical Secretary of the Caribbean Plant Health Directors Forum, as well as his efforts so far as the chair of the Communications Technical Working Group. During the meeting, Brian Critchlow of the Cayman Islands was also re-elected as the chair, while Ryan Anselm of Dominica is the co-chair. Still to come.
When we do things, we don't do it as Eddie or Delroy or June or Avril. We do it as CSS class of 84.
We'll give you the details after this break.
Celebrating the old, showcasing the new. It's Culturama 42. Experience Essel Hosford, Miss Culture Queen Pageant, Miss Culture Swimwear Contest, the TDC Senior Calypso Contest, the Talented Youth and Junior Calypso Contest, hello, the Mr. Cool Competition, great music at the Soca Monarch Contest, the Cultural Food Fair and the Grand Cultural Street Parade. Culturama 42, July 21st to August 2nd, the Caribbean's greatest summer live. Visit us online at culturamanevis.com and on facebook.com/Nevis Culturama Festival.
St. Kitts Nevis, get ready for Restaurant Week.
It's that time of the year again for St. Kitts Nevis Restaurant Week. Save the date, July 13th through the 24th, 2016, for the second annual St. Kitts Nevis Restaurant Week. Restaurants across St. Kitts and Nevis will offer special menus at discount prices every day, July 13th through the 24th. Visit the Restaurant Week website, www.restaurantweek.kn. Check out which restaurants are participating and make reservations to dine out as much as you can, July 13th through the 24th.
Restaurant Week at the time for sure.
Celebrating the old, showcasing the new. Culturama 42.
Welcome back. The Charlestown Secondary School's CSS class of 1984 hosted a Deserving Student Award ceremony on Friday, July 8th at the Department of Education's conference room at Pinneys Industrial Site. Project Coordinator Emmanuel Richards gave the overview of the awards ceremony.
In 2005, we did some presentation to Tevon Fleming, actually, from the St. Thomas's Primary School. She was the first recipient of the CSS Class of 84 award. And then we went on to Ivor Walters. I don't remember the child name, but we did that. The idea hit me, once everybody's back together, that we need to recognize some children. And this year, when I talked to my good friend Diane, that we came up with the idea that we need to recognize all the children on the island, the primary school, which is the most improved child or the most deserving child award.
9 students were awarded, namely Rohani Hussein of the St. Thomas's Primary School, Jules Scarborough of the Charlestown Primary School, Alexander Keynes of the Maud Cross Preparatory School, Cyprian Miller of the Ivor Walters Primary School, Ramon Vasquez of the Elizabeth Pemberton Primary School, Tashari Kelly of the Joycelyn Libert Primary School, Kevondre Hendrickson of the St. James's Primary School, Shaheen Roberts of the Violet O. Jeffers Nichols Primary School, and Tariq Nibbs of Nevis Academy, whose award was accepted by a family member on his behalf. Timothy Keynes spoke on behalf of the parents of the awardees.
We want to thank you for your involvement in the community. Thank you for this award. I think it is one of the more important awards that the children can receive. it's always good to recognize effort and achievement, whatever level that is. Now, what does it mean to the most deserving or the most improved? It could be that you move from the bottom, a little closer to the pack, from the bottom to the middle, from the bottom to the top to even further ahead. So whatever level that might have been for these children, on behalf of the parents, we're saying thank you for recognizing that.
The presentations were made by Principal Education Officer Palsy Wilkin and the CSS Class of 1984 representative Diana Richardson. The official opening of the Cultural Village is slated to take place tomorrow, Friday, July 15th. That is according to Executive Director of the Culturama Secretariat, Abernathy Liburd.
The Cultural Village opens this week, Friday night, 8 o'clock. The doors of the Cultural Village would be thrown opened. The booth operators would begin to do their vending. We have engaged the services of the Ultimate Band, so they will be providing musical entertainment along with a DJ at the Cultural Village this Friday night.
Meantime, on Saturday, July 16th, the semi-finals of the Soca Monarch will take place at the Cultural Village.
On Saturday night, we are going to be back at the Cultural Village for the semi-finals of the Soca Monarch contest. We have some 24 registered Soca Monarch artists in both categories, which is the groovy category and the power category. The backing band, as was the backing band last year, would be the Bacchanalist Band. Rehearsals have started both on Synkits for the Synkits participants and also on Nevis for those from Nevis who will be entering.
Liburd also listed some of the participants scheduled to compete on Saturday night.
There are some 16 persons from Synkits who are going to be taking part in the Soca Monarch competition this year. We have big names like Bagnall, Stadix, Shanna. These are just some of the artists who are going to be coming over to Nevis to be part of the Soca Monarch competition. On Nevis, we have people like Daddy Tusty, we have Deli Ranks, of course, X-Man would be defending, Speedy would be defending, we have LaDonna, and so we have Jazzy, we also have Woodis. So some of the regulars from last year. So we are expecting a very good competition.
He is encouraging persons to support the competition on Saturday.
From Saturday night semi-finals, we will be selecting 7 persons in each category. 7 in the groovy, 7 in the power. And they'll be going up against reigning Power Monarch, X-Man, and then reigning Groovy Soca Monarch from last year, the Speedy from the Odyssey Band. And so we are inviting everyone to come on out to the Cultural Village this Saturday night for the semi-finals of the Soca Monarch contest.
The slogan for this year's Culturama Festival is celebrating the old, showcasing the new, Culturama 42. That's it for this evening's edition of the Nevis Newscast. On behalf of all of us here at the Department of Information, thank you for viewing. I'm Donis Wilkinson Keynes. Good night.
This one is going out to the land of my birth, Queen City, Nevis.
Truly, one of the few places that has an untouched beauty that has captivated the hearts of many. Nevis is everything you imagine.